If you've got student loans and you live in Maine, you need to listen up. You've probably heard that the state has some of the best relief programs out there. But, things are changing, and 2026 is shaping up to be a pretty huge year. So in this explainer, we're going to break it all down for you. So you're trying to figure out Maine's whole student debt situation, right? And it can feel, well, pretty complicated. You've got state tax credits, you've got new proposals floating around, and then you have all the federal rules changing at the same time. But don't worry, we're here to help you sort through it all. Because, yeah, the rules of the game are definitely changing. This is your guide to what's available right now, what might be just around the corner, and how you can get ready for some really key deadlines coming up in 2026. So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with Maine's Maine Relief Program, the one you can use today. Then we'll peek at a big new idea being considered. We'll touch on other state-level help, connect the dots to the federal changes, and then wrap it all up with a super simple checklist for 2026. Let's do it. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the big one. This is the program that's already helping thousands of people in Maine as we speak. It's really the foundation of the state's whole approach to student debt. It's called the Student Loan Repayment Tax Credit. And the most important word you need to remember here is reimburses. Think of it this way. This isn't about your debt just vanishing. Instead, you make your loan payments all year, and then the state pays you back when you file your taxes. And we are not talking about small change here. We're talking up to $2,500 every single year. That's a direct payment back to you that can make a huge difference in your budget. And get this, it's designed for the long haul. Over the entire life of your loans, you could get up to $25,000 back per taxpayer. It's kind of like a reward for sticking around and building your career in Maine. And just to give you a sense of scale, this isn't some tiny niche program. It has already pumped over $140 million back into the pockets of borrowers across the state. So yeah, it's a really big deal. So you're probably wondering, okay, do I qualify? Well, the basics are pretty straightforward. You've got to live and work in Maine, your degree needs to be from after 2007, and obviously, you have to actually be making those payments to your loan servicer. Okay, now here is a super important heads up, especially with 2026 in mind. There was an older version of this program, and if you have any leftover, unused credits from that, the 2026 tax year is your absolute last chance to claim them. That is a hard deadline, so you don't want to miss out. All right, so that's the powerful program that's happening now. But what about the future? Well, it turns out there's a new idea brewing that could be a total game changer, taking a much more direct approach. This brings us to a really interesting proposal called LD 1490. Now, this is totally different from the tax credit. This isn't about getting money back. This is a plan to attack student debt head-on by directly reducing your loan balance. So, how would it work? Well, the state would raise a ton of money, up to $250 million through bonds. And the deal would be something like this. You get direct debt cancellation, but in exchange, you'd have to commit to living and working right here in Maine for 5 years. And this is a really, really important difference. Let's break it down. The current system pays you back after you've made a payment. This new proposal would zap your debt directly. It's the difference between getting a rebate in the mail and getting a huge discount right at the register. Now, let's be super clear here. LD 149 is just a proposal for now. It is not law yet. But the fact that it's even being seriously talked about is huge. It shows that lawmakers are really looking for new, even more powerful ways to provide relief. Okay, so besides those two big programs, there are a few other things happening in Maine that you should definitely know about. We're talking more targeted help for specific careers and some really important legal protections for everybody. All right, teachers in Maine, listen up, because this one's for you. If you're already getting federal loan forgiveness, like through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, Maine will chip in another $12,500 on top of that. It's an amazing bonus. And then there's something called Maine's Student Loan Bill of Rights. Now, this won't lower your debt, but think of it as your financial bodyguard. It basically makes sure your loan company plays by the rules, no funny business, which can save you a ton of money and stress in the long run. Of course, we can't just talk about what's happening in Maine. We have to look at the federal level, because some really big changes are coming down the pike from Washington, D.C., and they are absolutely going to affect your wallet here in Maine. So you might want to get your calendar out. First, in early 2026, wage garnishments for defaulted loans are set to come back.
Then, on July 1st, a brand new repayment assistance plan, or RAP, is going to be available. The idea is to simplify things and eventually replace a lot of the plans we know now, like Save and Pay.
So, what does all this federal stuff have to do with Maine? Well, here's the really cool part. If these new federal plans make your required monthly payment smaller, then that $2,500 tax credit you get from Maine suddenly becomes way more powerful. It'll cover a much bigger chunk of your actual out-of-pocket costs. It's like a superpower combo. Whew, okay, that was a lot of information, I know. So let's boil it all down into a simple, actionable checklist, just so you know exactly what to focus on as we get closer and closer to 2026. All right, this is your screenshot this moment. Here's the whole landscape at a glance. You've got the tax credit, that's your reimbursement, and it's continuing. The proposed LD 149 could be a direct reduction, but it's still just a proposal. The extra help for teachers and the Bill of Rights, those are here to stay. And the federal changes will indirectly boost your state benefits. So all of this leaves us with one big question, right? With one of the best reimbursement programs in the country already in place, and this potential shift to just directly erasing debt, you have to wonder, is Maine on track to become the absolute best state in the entire country for student loan borrowers? It's definitely something to think about, and for sure something we'll be keeping a close eye on.